Good Thursday morning, and thank you for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Jason Hackett. Let's get right to your headlines. A look from our nation's capital this morning, where today Senators Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith will speak on the Senate floor. They're pushing for tougher gun laws after the deadly mass shooting at Annunciation Church in Minneapolis that killed 2 kids and injured 21 others. This all comes after Vice President J.D. Vance stopped in Minneapolis to visit families and victims of the shootings. Now those families are asking Vance to take it a step further. Michelle Beck is here with their message.
Off camera, we're told the vice president met with church leaders and the parents of the 2 children who were killed in last week's attack. But there's another family, the Kaisers, who we're hearing from for the first time. They met the vice president at Children's Minnesota. Their daughter Lydia still in the hospital, and that's because the 12-year-old was shot while protecting another student, according to a family fundraiser. Lydia's dad is also a gym teacher at Annunciation. He was there during the shooting. And I want you to listen to this. This is part of the letter he wrote and read to the vice president when they met.
Thoughts and prayers haven't been enough. Many policies have been dismissed without even being studied or tried. It's so complicated. I don't claim to have the answers, but we have to commit to looking. Then we can feel good about defending life. If one thing changes for the better, perhaps Fletcher's and Harper's deaths and all the injuries and destruction might bring about even more unity, love, and light than I have already seen this past week. One law, one executive order, one policy. You can call it the Annunciation Bill. Then I'll be able to look Lydia and Sophia and all my students in the eye and say I tried.
Lydia's parents want to make sure you can hear their statements in full. So we have that posted on KARE11.com right now. Back to you.
We're also hearing from the family of 10-year-old Weston, who had surgery to remove a bullet fragment found in his neck. In a new statement, they say the procedure went well and Weston is expected to make a full physical recovery. They went on to thank the community for their support and prayers. This weekend, the Annunciation community will say their final goodbyes to 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel, who was killed in last week's shooting. His funeral will be held on Sunday at Mount Olivet Church in South Minneapolis. Visitation will start at 2 p.m. and his funeral will start at 4. Fletcher's family is asking people to come in bright colors and give to the family's fundraiser in lieu of flowers. The service is open to the public. Now, the shooting has brought mental health into focus, but some recent changes have led to Minnesota programs losing funding. Audrey Russo is here to explain what happened.
Now, the irony here is that the funding that's getting terminated at the end of this year comes from a 2022 bipartisan bill crafted specifically with the goal of ending gun violence. Former President Biden signed the bipartisan bill after the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. The U of M school psychology program got $10 million in grants out of the deal. That was used to put graduate students in Minneapolis and St. Paul public schools to give mental health services. Now, fast forward to 2025, and the changes under President Trump's Department of Education mean those grants are getting canceled at the end of the year, a development flagged by local officials at a news conference this week.
If you truly believe that mental health is part of the solution here, if you're not just swapping out thoughts and prayers for mental health solutions, it's time to speak up.
The Trump administration argues that it's not canceling the money, but simply re-awarding it at the end of the year. A Department of Education spokesperson says that Biden's program awarded money based on diversity, something their new program won't do. Back to you.
The KARE 11 team has been closely monitoring all the developments from Annunciation Church. You can follow our coverage anytime on KARE11.com and on KARE 11 Plus. Developing this morning, another person has been charged in the Feeding Our Future meal fraud case. A man federal prosecutors say played a big role in funneling millions of dollars in taxpayer money out of the country. Ahmed Naji Sheikh is the brother of one of the most notorious defendants, Abdiaziz Farah, who was recently sentenced to 28 years in prison. The indictment says Sheikh helped Farah buy an apartment building and invest in other real estate in Kenya, all with money from the nonprofit. Sheikh is currently in Kenya and not expected to appear in court in Minnesota anytime soon. Today marks 2 months since the catastrophic July 4th floods in central Texas. And this morning, the Heavens 27 Camp Safety Act is heading to the governor's desk in hopes of preventing future tragedies. The bill successfully passed both chambers of the Texas legislature overnight. It's named after the 27 campers and counselors who died in the flood at Camp Mystic. Among the requirements is a camp's proximity to floodways, weather alerts, and emergency training. Happening right now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., head of the nation's health department, is in the hot seat on Capitol Hill, testifying before a Senate committee amid upheaval at the Centers for Disease Control and a flood of questions about vaccines. All as Florida is taking steps to become the first state to eliminate vaccine mandates. NBC's Alice Barr has the very latest from Washington.
Hi there. As part of today's Capitol Hill grilling, Democrats compiled an outline of the secretary's promises during his confirmation that they say he's now broken. Republicans coming with their concerns, too.
With the nation's public health agencies in deep turmoil, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. facing tough questions today in a Senate hearing. Republicans demanding answers, too.
What I'm most interested in is restoring the confidence of the American people in public health in America, and so far that hasn't been done. There's just been too much chaos.
The Senate's top Republican questioning the firing of Centers for Disease Control Director Dr. Susan Menares 1 month into the job, calling for stability and adding that supporting vaccines should not be disqualifying for the new CDC head amid an overhaul to the nation's vaccine approval process and new restrictions on COVID shots that pushed other top CDC officials to resign in protest.
I just saw science really being compromised, and I was concerned about scientific integrity.
Secretary Kennedy, a longtime vaccine skeptic, has said the CDC made missteps during the pandemic and defended the shakeup at the agency.
We are fixing it, and it may be that some people should not be working there anymore.
States now staking out their own rules, with Florida announcing it would eliminate all statewide vaccine mandates, including in schools.
Who am I as a man standing here now to tell you what you should put in your body?
Medical experts raising concerns like this year's deadly measles outbreak in Texas, as blue states, California, Washington, and Oregon plan to coordinate their vaccine recommendations separate from the federal government, pointing to a fractured state of public health.
One senator to watch today is Republican Bill Cassidy, himself a physician. He voiced concern about Secretary Kennedy's vaccine skepticism during his confirmation hearing. He's called for oversight of the turnover at the CDC and raised questions about the scientific process in a key vaccine advisory committee. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
New this morning, Eagan police say they stopped a car chase for the first time with a brand new piece of technology on one of their squad cars. Take a look.
Chevrolet model.
Fish on, fish on.
So what you're seeing there is called the grappler. Officers use it to latch a strap onto a vehicle's rear wheels and bring it to a complete stop. Eagan police say they were the first Minnesota department to get the grappler in June. They deployed it over the weekend for the first time after police say the driver ran a red light and fled from officers. We have brand new numbers from the TSA this morning from a record-breaking Labor Day weekend. TSA reports it screened 10.4 million people between Friday and Monday. That's up 3.3% from last year. A spokesperson for MSP says they screened 156,000 passengers during that 4-day period. The busiest day at MSP was Monday when they screened nearly 47,000 people. Talking Minnesota Vikings now. They're gearing up for a primetime showdown themselves, Monday Night Football versus the Bears. Our young QB, J.J. McCarthy, getting ready for his first NFL regular season start. Veteran running back Aaron Jones says he's a fan of how McCarthy commands the offense. It'll also be a sort of a homecoming for McCarthy as he's from the Chicago area. So here's where his head is at.
I just try to be completely present. You know, at the end of the day, there's going to be, anxiousness, excitement, and, a whole lot of adrenaline. But at the end of the day, that's completely normal. And, accepting those emotions, you're able to let go of them a lot quicker than trying to deflect them and avoid them.
Wishing him and the Vikings luck as we head into a brand new season here. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.